Trinadapi Sunichena Taraneva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Harenama 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 Ibakibalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So on days like today, it is most auspicious to hear about the pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Nṛsiṁha is very, very much appreciated by devotees. Because Lord Nṛsiṁha gives protection in the entire Nṛsiṁha Leela, there are many, many lessons to be gleaned. And one of those is the message of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Arjuna, declare it boldly, my devotee never perishes. And this wonderful history of Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu, and Lord Nṛsiṁha nicely illustrates how the Lord gives protection to the devotees. The narration of the Nṛsiṁha pastime is found in the 7th canto of the Shreemad-Bhägavatam. It comprises 10 chapters. And the beginning theme is a question by Maharaj Parikshit, because he had heard in the previous canto how it appeared that Lord Narayan, Lord Vishnu, was partial to the demigods. So the very first opening sequence, Shukadeva Goswami and Narada Muni both explain how the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone, as Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, I envy no one, I'm not partial to anyone, but whoever renders service to me, I naturally reciprocate. And in answering the question of Maharaj Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami says, actually, the Lord is not partial. It is because the demigods are in the mode of goodness. And when the mode of goodness is flourishing, the demigods become victorious. The demons, they're in the modes of passion and ignorance. So when those modes are prominent, they flourish. So it has nothing to do really with the Supreme Lord. It's simply a matter of how you are situated in this material world, what modes of nature are influencing you, and you reap the results. The scene of this 7th canto is actually in Krishna Leela. It was the time of the Rajasuya sacrifice. And during the Rajasuya sacrifice, everybody saw how Krishna, with his Sudarshan Chakra, decapitated Shishupal. And everyone saw the spirit soul of Shishupal, like a meteor, leave his body and enter the body of Krishna. And everyone was astounded. Everybody saw it. So Narada Muni was there, and nearby was, of course, Yudhishthir, who's performing the Rajasuya sacrifice. So we asked him, can you explain what I just saw? And Narada Muni begins to tell the story of Jai Vijay. And I think they're here, Jai Vijay. This temple has everything. We have Garuda. We have the most famous, most beautiful deities in the whole world, Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadish. You've heard me explain many times how they are the most famous. You go to Vrindavan, you go to shops, what will you see? Their picture. Yes. And we have Sri Sri Gaurnitai. We have Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. And look, what do we have today? Nṛsiṁha-Bhägavatam ki. Everything is here in this temple. And, oh, I forgot. We have His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. His rooms, his quarters are upstairs as they were. So, Narada Muni begins to explain the fall of Jai Vijay because they offended the devotees, the four Kumaras, and they had to take 3 births. They had a choice. They could take 7 births as devotees or 3 births as demons, and they decided, no, we want to come back as quickly as possible. They decided to take birth 3 times as demons. So the first one, Jai Vijay became Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. Then the next birth, Ravana, Kumbhakarna. And then their third birth, Shishupal, Dantavakra. And that is what Narada Muni explained. Now, Narada Muni continues setting the scene of the crime. Hiranyaksha, the brother, he was slain by Krishna in his form as Varaha, Lord Boar. And at the funeral ceremony, Hiranyaksha's brother, Hiranyakashipu, gave an excellent class on Bhagavad Gita. If you read this narration, you will think, oh, Hiranyakashipu should give class tomorrow morning. What he says to his family members at the occasion of his brother's death is exactly out of Bhagavad Gita. How you are the soul, how everything is under the jurisdiction of karma. There is nothing to lament. The beginning concepts of Bhagavad Gita. But like a good politician, Hiranyakashipu doesn't believe a word he's saying. Because in his mind, in his heart, he can only think of revenge. He wants to avenge the death of his brother. And so, if you read in the 8th canto, when Vamanadev appears before Bali Maharaj, Vamanadev, to, how shall we say, sweeten the pot, puff up Bali Maharaj. Vamanadev says, oh, when Hiranyakashipu was searching for Lord Vishnu everywhere because he wanted to kill him, Vamanadev said, oh, Lord Vishnu was very worried. And so he said, Lord Vishnu was concerned, wherever I go, Hiranyakashipu will follow me. Where will I go that he can't find me? And Lord Vishnu said, aha, I'll enter his heart. He'll never look for me there. And so when Hiranyakashipu inhaled, Lord Vishnu entered and hid himself in the heart of Hiranyakashipu, because that would be the last place Hiranyakashipu, because that's a demon. A demon doesn't think God is in his heart. He doesn't even think God exists. but he's looking for Lord Vishnu everywhere he goes. So, after not finding Lord Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu now decides, I want to become immortal. I will do penances, austerities that have never been done before. Actually, the penances and austerities that Hiranyakashipu did, nobody can equal. But his plan was, not only do I want to be immortal, but I want to be the supreme ruler, the supreme person. I want to be in control. That's what it means to be God. Actually, this is the desire of every conditioned soul who has left the spiritual world. That's all of us. We have come here, why? We want to imitate Krishna as what? Well, we know from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Bhoktaram, he's the enjoyer. So we have come here to enjoy this material world, exploit it, squeeze out as much as we can for our selfish enjoyment. We want to control, we want to own, we want to lord it over. And then we want to be everybody's best friend. We want everyone to say hello to us. And when we walk, we want everyone to notice us and reckon, oh, there is such and such. This is what it means to be God. And all of us have come here for that purpose, to try to imitate what it is, to feel what it's like to be God. Hiranyakashipu, he is the founder acharya of that kind of demoniac mentality. So Hiranyakashipu is standing on his tippy toes like a ballerina, and his hands are upstretched, and he's standing there for hundreds and hundreds of years. And in due course of time, different insects start to eat at his flesh. But Hiranyakashipu is doing his austerity, not wavering. He's fixed. Until finally, his whole body is covered by an anthill. But because of the severe austerities, fire is emanating from his skull. And that fire is causing a disturbance throughout the whole universe. And the demigods are becoming very concerned. They know, ooh, this is not good. This is not good. So they go to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma says, okay, I will take care of Hiranyakashipu. So Lord Brahma comes on his swan aeroplane. You came in metal tin cars. Lord Brahma rides on a swan carrier. And he could see where was Hiranyakashipu because that fire glow coming from the anthill. And when Lord Brahma came, he has a water pot, special water pot. And in that pot is transcendental water. And he sprinkled the anthill. And immediately out of the anthill, a new, rejuvenated Hiranyakashipu comes out. And now he has a body rejuvenated, and it can resist even the thunderbolt weapon of Indra. He has an invincible body. All these bodybuilders in LA, they would love to have that invincible body. Well then, worship Lord Brahma. Do some austerities, not steroids. So, when Hiranyakashipu now is rejuvenated, he bows down flat to Lord Brahma. And he offers prayers. And then Lord Brahma says, so, what benediction do you want? And Hiranyakashipu says, make me immortal. But Lord Brahma says, no can do. Because even I'm not immortal. You can't give something to somebody if you don't have it. So then Hiranyakashipu said, okay, then I don't want to die by any weapon. Lord Brahma says, yes. I don't want to die by any creature created by you. No problem. I don't want to die on the land or on the sea. Lord Brahma said, yeah. I don't want to die in the day or at night. Let it be. Hiranyakashipu went through so many things that he thought he could die. He thought he had an ironclad contract. And so he now felt, practically speaking, I'm immortal. And then, what did he do with his immortality, so-called? He started to terrorize the universe. This is a demon. You give them benedictions, you give them a position, you give them power, and what do? Terrorize. So, Hiranyakashipu wanted to take the established order of God and make it topsy-turvy. Make everything backwards. No more sacrifices, no more austerities, no more penances. And Hiranyakashipu, he made himself the king, and he sat on the throne of Indra. The demigods, headed by Indra, all went into hiding, while Hiranyakashipu was ruling the whole universe. And it was explained everyone was bowing down to Hiranyakashipu because of his supreme power. Only 3 people didn't have to kowtow: Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva. Everybody else, even Narada, had to bow down to Hiranyakashipu. The demigods went to Lord Vishnu and said, how long are we going to have to suffer this terrorism of Hiranyakashipu? How long are we going to suffer like this? Lord Vishnu said, wait. He will make a tragic mistake. He will terrorize the Brahmins, the devotees, but then he will offend his own son, who is a pure devotee, and then I will take care of him. So the demigods felt relieved. Okay, relief is in sight. So Hiranyakashipu is now ruling the universe. He has a few sons, but he has one special son, Prahlad. And anyone who has read the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the final half of that chapter, there's the verses 13 to 20. I think it's, anyway, the final half of chapter 12 describes the pure devotee. That chapter is an excellent description of Prahlad Maharaj. It is said that Prahlad Maharaj, as a child, would sometimes play with Krishna. And sometimes he would feel Krishna's hand on his hand. So Prahlad Maharaj, so exalted. So like a good father, Hiranyakashipu sent his child to the best school, the school of demons. And one day, he called his son, Prahlad, come, sit on my lap. And anyone who has had a son or a grandson, you smell their head, such a nice feeling. When I had my grandson, I used to do that. Not now, but when he was Now he's bigger than me. He can smell my head. But when he was little and he was living with me, I would sit him on my lap and I would smell his head, and I said, yes, Prabhupada, whatever Prabhupada says, perfectly correct. It was such a wonderful feeling. So Hiranyakashipu says to so Prahlad, tell me, what nice thing you are learning in school? And Prahlad says, I'm not learning anything good in that school. Someone like you should go to the forest. Yeah, you should go to Vrindavan and practice Krishna consciousness. Hiranyakashipu became disturbed. What is this nonsense? My son is talking about the enemy? He called the teachers. Shanda, Amarka, what's happening? Take this boy. Train him properly. I want him to come out like his old man. I want him to learn politics, economics, all the materialistic things. I want him to take over the family business. Train him properly. So Prahlad went back to the school, and after some time, Hiranyakashipu wanted a progress report. Prahlad, come. I really identify with Hiranyakashipu. I can really get into that bhav. Prahlad, tell me now. The teachers have assured me that you have learned everything nicely. Tell me now, what is the best thing? And Prahlad said, oh, the best thing? Hearing, chanting, remembering about Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu throws him off his lap. What is this nonsense, Prahlad? You are speaking in favor of our enemy, Lord Vishnu? And Prahlad says, you will never understand. You are a demon. You have taken a vow to remain in materialistic life. How can you possibly understand anything about Krishna consciousness? Even on your own, even with the help of others, or both, you'll never understand. Why? Because you like to chew what is already chewed. You are trying to enjoy sense gratification. You're a fool. And Prahlad says, unless you bow down and get the feet of a pure devotee of the Lord, you'll never make any advancement. Now Hiranyakashipu is furious. He orders his servants, take this boy. Now he must be punished. He has very much upset me. He's speaking on behalf of the enemy. Torture him. Punish him. So that's what happens. He's tortured. Now, before this scene, there was an incident when he was going, after the first time he was questioned, when he was in the school, when the teachers would go for their lunch break, Prahlad would call his friends, come, I'm going to teach you something very nice, which you're not going to learn in school. It's called Krishna consciousness. And the young children, they're innocent, even though they're sons of demons, still they're innocent. So they said, okay, what is this Krishna consciousness? And Prahlad started to explain. And Prabhupada himself, in one of his writings, was explaining that Prahlad was teaching them to chant Hare Krishna. So let's all do that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So they would have kirtan, and the teachers would enter. Prahlad, what is this nonsense? What are you doing? But Prahlad was fearless. He didn't care because Prahlad was a preacher. So the assistants of Hiranyakashipu, they tried to torture Prahlad. They threw him off a cliff. He did not die. They put him under the feet of an elephant. Nothing happened. They put him in a pot of boiling oil. Nothing happened. They put him in a pit of snakes. Nothing happened. Hiranyakashipu had his wife, Prahlad's mother, give him food which was mixed with poison. What did Prahlad do? He offered it, ate it. Nothing happened. After so many attempts to kill his own son, Hiranyakashipu became exasperated. So finally he said to Prahlad, Prahlad, where do you get your powers from that you can defy me, Hiranyakashipu? I am the supreme person in this universe. Prahlad very nicely says, the source of my strength is the source of your strength, God, Krishna. This makes Hiranyakashipu even more furious. Prahlad, you are a foolish, very over-talkative child. Don't you understand? I am supreme, that I am the Lord and Master? Prahlad said, no, you're not. Prabhupada makes a point on this, that Prahlad, he's very meek and humble, but when it comes to somebody saying they're God, that cannot be tolerated. So Prahlad said, no, you are not supreme. You are not God. Hiranyakashipu now is mad with anger. Prahlad, where is this God that you talk about? Prahlad says, God is everywhere. And Hiranyakashipu laughs. Prahlad, okay, if God is here, show him to me. Is he in this pillar? I will kill him right before your eyes, and then I will show you that I am supreme. And Prahlad said, yes, my Lord is in the pillar. And then it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, to keep the words of Prahlad true, the Lord appeared from the pillar. So Hiranyakashipu took his sword, and he said, now watch, Prahlad, as I kill your so-called God. And when Hiranyakashipu with his sword struck the column, he heard this sound, this amazing sound that he had never heard, this tremendous roaring, bombastic sound. And Hiranyakashipu was looking all around, and Lord Nṛsiṁha appeared. And you can see that he is angry. His eyes are flashing. So Hiranyakashipu, he has mystic powers, and he has a duel, a fight with the Lord. And the Lord plays with him. The example is given when a snake captures a mouse. The snake will swallow the mouse, then let it go. Then wait, swallow it again, let it go, plays with it, and then finally swallows it and eats it. So the Lord was fighting with Hiranyakashipu, and sometimes he let him go, and Hiranyakashipu said, yes, I will defeat him. Then finally, when it was not day or night, we call that dusk, the Lord captured Hiranyakashipu. And he put him on his lap, at not land or sea. And Lord Nṛsiṁha is not created by Lord Brahma. Lord Nṛsiṁha is the creator of Brahma. So he kept all of Brahma's benedictions intact. And not with any weapon, his nails. And there's the picture right there. On his lap, with his nails, he takes out his intestines. And then puts the intestines around like a garland. Then he took Hiranyakashipu's heart, picked it out, and threw it on the ground. Then so many of Hiranyakashipu's soldiers and warriors came out, and Lord Nṛsiṁha assumed a gigantic form with hundreds of arms and hundreds of nails, and just with his nails, he defeated the whole army. And he threw Hiranyakashipu off his lap, but he was roaring more and more. Meanwhile, Lord Brahma and the demigods, they come and they start to offer prayers one by one. Lord Shiva offers prayers, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, all the different universal directors, they offer prayers, but the Lord is still roaring. Lord Brahma looks at Nrsimha-Dev's wife, Lakshmi, and she goes, I've never seen him this angry. She was afraid to come. So then Lord Brahma sees Prahlad. You see Prahlad in the picture. He has a garland. So Lord Brahma says, pacify the Lord. So Prahlad puts the garland, and then he prostrates himself in front of the Lord. And when the Lord sees Prahlad, he stops his roaring. Now before he was Ugra Nṛsiṁha, anger personified. But now that Prahlad has bowed down, now he becomes Shanta Nṛsiṁha, peaceful. Just a side note. Some people think, oh, it's not auspicious to have a picture of Ugra Nṛsiṁha. Wrong. There's no difference between Ugra Nṛsiṁha and Shanta Nṛsiṁha. So don't think like that. They think it's inauspicious. We've had this picture in a temple how many years? 40 years? Looks like we're doing pretty good. Yes. Because and you notice, Prahlad's not afraid. Prahlad is offering a garland to the killer of his father. So the Lord takes his lotus hand and puts it on Prahlad's head. And Prahlad stands up. And now, because the Lord had touched his head, he's full of what is called Brahma Gyan, spiritual knowledge. And so now Prahlad offers his prayers. All the demigods offered there. Now Prahlad. A beautiful string of highly, highly philosophical prayers. Each one of those prayers, Srila Prabhupada has nicely given purports in the Shreemad-Bhägavatam. And of those prayers, there are a few for me that stand out as very special. One of the prayers Prahlad said was, my Lord, my first duty is to my spiritual master. He delivered me. Because when the children in school were learning from Prahlad, they asked him, you go to the same school as we do. Where did you learn all this Krishna consciousness? And so Prahlad said, oh, yes, I learned it when I was in the womb of my mother. The demigods came to kidnap my mother when she was pregnant, but Narada Muni stopped them, and he took my mother to his ashram. And while there, he preached to her the principles of Bhagavat Dharma, Krishna consciousness. And being in the womb, I heard everything. And so when I came out, I was self-realized pure devotee. So Prahlad remembered, yes, my first service, my first duty is to my spiritual master. And here in ISKCON, I propose that all of us should have the same sentiment as Prahlad. My first order of business is to satisfy Srila Prabhupada. Do you all agree? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. That trumps everything else. And then another wonderful prayer of Prahlad. Prahlad said, I'm very much, me personally, although I am very, very weary of material existence, actually I'm afraid of material existence, but when I hear and chant about you, my Lord, I become fearless. But I'm very much concerned for the ignorant mass of people who do not have Krishna consciousness. And I'm simply planning and scheming how to deliver them. He preached in the school as a 5-year-old boy. And that verse, that prayer by Prahlad exemplifies our Srila Prabhupada. At the age of 70 years old, he left Vrindavan. Not go to Vrindavan. He left Vrindavan to deliver you and me. He left his nice bhajan, kutir, his bhav, and went to execute the order of his spiritual master to spread Krishna consciousness. Yes, that is very significant. Prabhupada came to deliver you. We should never forget. Without Prabhupada, no temple, no me, no you. Who knows where we would be? I know where I would be. I can't even mention it. But Prabhupada came to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. After Prahlad offered his prayers, the Lord was very pleased and wanted to give him a benediction. But Prahlad, he said, no, my Lord, I'm not a businessman. I'm not a merchant. I don't worship you in exchange for something. That's not bhakti. I worship you because you are my master and I am your servant. Boss, finish, nothing else. You are naturally my master and I am naturally your servant. I don't want anything else. But the Lord insisted, no, Prahlad, you take a benediction. So Prahlad said, okay, if I must take a benediction, then I pray that in my heart there are no more material desires. That is the perfect prayer. That's the same thing Lord Chaitanya says in his 4th Shikshashtakam. Na danang, na janang, na sundaring, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatad bhaktir, ahaitukhi tvayi. My Lord, I don't want anything from you. Money, popularity, sense gratification. No. What do I want? Service. I want pure devotional service at your lotus feet. That's all I want. And Lord Chaitanya says, life after life, doesn't even care about liberation, but he wants service. That's the perfect prayer. But Lord Nṛsiṁha said, no, I'm still going to give you benedictions. You will live your life. You will live as the king of the demons. I'm installing you. And don't worry, I will protect you. You will not be influenced by all the demons, even though you're their king. And you will enjoy nicely in this material world. And I will always be there to protect you. And Lord Nṛsiṁha instructed Prahlad that he should do the funeral ceremony for his father. And then before Lord Nṛsiṁha disappeared, he had a word for Lord Brahma. Mr. Lord Brahma, don't do this again. Don't give these kinds of benedictions to demons because you simply indulge them. And then Lord Nṛsiṁha disappeared. And that ends the class. Hare Krishna.